All right, welcome back. The debate over 0% increase in tertiary fees continues. The latest in the debacle is President Jacob Zuma's instruction to Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan and Higher Education Minister President Nzimande to find the money to accommodate the students' demand. I mean, obviously that was according to the weekend's report, but yesterday the Minister in Presidency, Jeff Khatebe, refuted those claims. Well, to talk to us about how the university functions and what is actually needed to keep the universities running efficiently, we joined in studio by Professor Tawana Kupe, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Advancement, HR and Transformation from Wits. Prof, good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, Prof, apart from student fees, where else do universities and tertiary institutions usually get money from?
Yeah, universities have three income streams. Fees, as you have said, which are a major component. Then we have government grants and subsidies for various things. For the research we produce, for the students we graduate, and for the students we have enrolled. And this works according to an enrollment plan that each university has with government. The third source of money, of course, is donations from private individuals, philanthropies, private companies, and even state-owned enterprises, for example, will sponsor students to study at a university. Your Transnets and your ESCOMs and others also do provide bursaries and related, and also foreign donors do give us some money.
All right. Now, seeing that fees actually constitute an integral part of the whole financial system of tertiary institutions, this means that the increment of fees annually is quite significant.
Yeah, yes, it is quite significant. That is how the, if you like, universities are funded at the moment. Three sources: fees that are paid by individual students, government grants. So annual increases also track the costs of what universities do. So when inflation goes up, we also need at least an inflationary increase.
So basically we're looking at 8%.
No, well, an inflationary increase would be about 6.3% according to how it's calculated now. But remember that universities operate in a very interesting economy. We import quite a lot of some of the things that we use, you know, for our laboratories, for our libraries, journals, books, and related equipment, which means there's a foreign currency element to it. We calculate that to be about between 1.7 to 2% for 2017. So what we need is universities to actually offer quality education to remain sustainable and viable is an at least 8% income increase. And notice I'm not saying that it's fees, I'm saying an income increase, yes. How that is made up of is the big question. If we don't get, if there's a 0% increase or no increase, let's put it that way, then somebody needs to make up what fees should have given us.
Sure. So it's quite a difficult one.
Yes, it's a life and death matter. It is calculated that if we don't get this 8% income increase, many universities, at least 7 to 10, would not be able to see it through to 2017.
And it might also lead to retrenchments.
Yes, also not just retrenchments. I think we should start off the compromising of quality education coming out of universities. Then second, yes, you might get retrenchments of both academic staff and support staff. But then that is the beginning of an unraveling of the university system and also the loss of key institutions that produce skills for the economy and for society.
So it is a difficult one for the higher education department, I believe, because they've got to take into consideration how the students feel right now. At the same time, they must also look at the viability of the institutions.
Yes, absolutely. So ideally what should have happened is that the Presidential Commission should have started late last year after the no fee increase or the 0% increase, and have been able to do its work and report by about now, so that the big question of how higher education institutions are funded, whether there are fees, and if there are fees, who pays fees, and if necessary, also talking about at what rate fees should increase.
So you're basically saying that the commission is sort of irrelevant at this current moment because they will be looking into the future, not into 2017 academic year specifically.
Yes, you can put it that way, that for 2017, the commission has no effect because 2017 is barely 4 months away from where universities stand, because we reopen in January. And students, parents, and others need to know whether how much they're going to pay for fees. And come 1 January or 2nd of January, universities open their doors, matrics get their results, and they're knocking at the doors of university for admission. So we start operating and our costs start going up. So the Presidential Commission will have relevance for the future, but it won't have relevance for 2017. But we hope that by the time it has produced its recommendations and everybody can accept those recommendations, we will still have universities.
I know that's a difficult one. But let's take a look at the submissions that have been made thus far to the Commission. I mean, we've also seen students' movement not backing off, saying that all they want is a 0% increase.
Yeah, so I think for the submission, well, the 0% increase, I think from the students' point of view, from what I've seen, their various statements and positions, is that until the some will say until the Presidential Commission reports, we want to stay with the status quo, 0% increase. Some say, well, the Presidential Commission must come up with a model for free education.
Will there be such a model?
Well, we don't know. I think that is it affordable? That's the big question that, if you like, it's not just universities or even the Commission. It's what the country and the society has to ask. Can we afford free education?
Can we afford it?
Well, I'm not an economist, but if you afford free education, that means that you could also be taking money from some other things that you could not afford. And also, remember, free does not mean, it might be free for the individual who goes to university, but it's not free because somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay universities the money that would have been displaced by fees, or the funds that would have been displayed by fees. So I think that it's a big question also, not just about education, by the way. I think it might also be a big question about health. The NHI is going to cost quite a lot of money and related things. So when one talks about free education, one is talking about who is to access what services and is there a user pay fee model. I think that the economy has, or our budget has, our country's budget has to contend with many things. Can it carry that? There's a question also people ask, should those people who can pay get away without paying? People who are rich enough to pay, for example.
Yeah.
Is it here? Or can you design a model where you find out that you design a model where you actually can be sure that those who can pay, and those who can't pay get either grants or get bursaries that they can pay when they start working. There are models around like that around the world.
Yeah, because I wanted to get onto that issue as to whether it will be fair enough to say that certain people must be able to pay, and while the others don't. I mean, who would really want to?
They need to be about, can you afford to pay? If you are wealthy and rich and you can really pay, that perhaps should be your contribution to the system, and you shouldn't be allowed with getting away with things for free. But if you can't pay and you are able to study, to invest and make a contribution to society after that, the means for you to be able to pay to afford education should be made. That's why I say that perhaps it might be okay. You get into university, it's free, you don't pay any fees. But when you start working, you either pay all of it or you pay part of it. It's the idea that, in essence, for all of the services that we use in society, somebody has got to pay.
Because that's what I wanted to ask as well, Prof. If they're saying that the rich must be able to pay, what if you don't have a child or children in university? How do you go about paying? Is it through tax, like it will be through tax, and also perhaps you should make a donation to universities. I told you that one of our income streams is that people who are wealthy enough or people who are interested or want to make a contribution to society often give us donations and say, please, here's my donation, can you give it to a person who is capable but is not able to pay for themselves. Now, would you agree that tuition fee is already expensive as it is right now, and that maybe both government and tertiary institutions should be able to come up with another way of funding these tertiary institutions without fees being this high? Yeah,
I think tuition fees, it is true, have been going up at a rate that people are not able to afford. That is what caused fees must fall last year. And we have to ask the question, why have fees been going up by such high percentages, and why is it their fees so expensive? It's because also over the last 10 years or so, the contribution from government has not been rising by at least inflation. And so what was compensating for that is high double-digit fee increases in certain instances. So I think if you wanted also, if you had a system where fees continue to be paid, and you wanted to make sure that fees are affordable, one of the levers you would have to operate is to raise government contribution to at least inflation, but it has to be more than inflation. As I told you, universities' costs are not just influenced by inflation within South Africa. It's that we import some of the things that we actually use, books, and also we actually hire lecturers from abroad and we compete globally with other universities.
And the number of students enrolling at tertiary institutions has gone up as well.
Yeah, and to keep up the quality that we have now, I think you'd have seen a press release this last week saying that Wits is now in the top university in South Africa in one of the rankings, number 203 in the world out of 25,000 universities. Okay. That costs to keep that quality. But that quality is important for what? For South Africa's economy and South Africa's society. Because what do universities produce? Economists, accountants, doctors, teachers, engineers, and all of those things that make a society tick.
All right, Prof. No, that's where we're going to leave it for this morning. But thank you so much for unpacking this issue for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There you have it. That's Professor Tawana Kupe, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Advancement, HR and Transformation at Wits. We're taking a break.